Hello, and welcome to another video. Today, I'll be showing you the deck that I played in last weekend's pre-release for Avatar: The Last Airbender. We'll also take a look at the entire pool and see if there were any other decks that I could have built instead. And then at the end, I've got some prize packs for us to open up together. Let's get right into it. So, as you can see, I had the black pre-release kit, which means there was a seeded pack in here that was focused on black. But my deck didn't really have any black in it. So I guess first I will go ahead and unsleeve the deck that I played, and I'll get it all laid out so that we can talk about it. So here is the deck that I played. I was mostly going for a red-white aggro with an ally theme sort of thing, which sort of worked, but also kind of didn't. This deck was effective at getting in with a lot of early damage, but really struggled to close out in the mid to late game. My record with this was 1-1-1, and for all of the games in the rounds that I both drew and lost, I was pretty much able to get my opponent down to 3 or 4 life while I was still at 20, but I was never able to push through that last little bit of damage. Like, at that point, my opponents were playing much larger creatures than I had, and it just kind of became inevitable that I wasn't going to be able to recover. But yeah, I certainly had a lot of fun playing this. There were a lot of tricky situations and a lot of math that I had to do. But let's go through and take a closer look, and I'll talk about some of the individual cards. Looking at our 1-mana cost cards, Earth Kingdom Protectors was pretty decent. I'm probably a bit biased because whenever I played it, I always had it in an opening hand, so I never really suffered the consequences of having it be a dead draw late in the game. But even if that was the case, I think the activated ability on it makes it worth playing, as long as you've got some good allies that are worth saving. And had this not been an ally deck, then I probably would not have played this. Yip Yip was a decent combat trick. Again, being an ally deck, it got a little bit of extra bonus being able to grant flying, and then enter the avatar state. I was happy with as a protective spell. Looking at the 2-mana slot, I had Zhao the Moonslayer in here purely as a 2/2 menace creature. I was really valuing him as an early evasive creature, and his Blood Moon ability may as well not have even been there. The Pretending Poxbearers I thought were great. Nice little 2-for-1. And some good synergy with cards that care about allies entering the battlefield. Path to Redemption, we talked a bit about on Monday. I thought that was pretty solid. A couple conditional removal spells. I think we often see spells like these and they're usually pretty decent. I don't think I ever used the airbending on this one, but it's nice that it was an option. And then Kyoshi Battle Fan, I thought was fine. I like that it creates a creature and attaches to it, and was a nice power upgrade to these 1/1 allies that get left behind. For the 3-mana cards, I thought Suki was fantastic. Not only pumps your team, but creates an ally if a permanent leaves the battlefield. I really wish I had clues or food, like some other ways to take better advantage of this ability. But nonetheless, still goes really well with Avatar enthusiasts. Maybe even incentive to keep attacking with a 1/1 ally. Even if you know it's not going to go anywhere, because you'll just get another one back and you'll get a counter on this. Glider Staff was also pretty good. Pretty much one of the only ways that I could hope to get to victory once my creatures started getting outclassed. Like strapping the mongoose lizard into it to give it both menace and flying was, in some cases, the only way that I could hope to punch through those last few points of damage. And then the airbending, of course, was also useful. Sometimes just to blow away an opponent's creature so that they have to recast it and can't attack with it right away. And War Balloon was fine. Another flying creature. I like that you can pay to turn it into a creature. For the 4-mana cards, we've got some more removal. Both of these I thought were good. And then our creatures. For this one, I like that it pumps the entire team. I do wish it had more power, but having a high toughness was good to ensure that it could attack. Wartime Protesters was great. One of my favorite cards in the entire deck, especially with so many of the ally creatures being very small. Being able to put a +1/+1 counter on them was often significant. Kyoshi Warriors, 4 power spread across 2 allies was good, but is great when paired with Wartime Protesters. And Hakoda was another favorite of mine. The 5 toughness with vigilance was often good for preventing attacks. I loved being able to look ahead in my library. One time I did spike a Wartime Protesters off of him, so a surprise haste attacker was awesome. And, I never did use his last ability to save other creatures. He was often the best card on the battlefield, so didn't really seem like there was a point to doing that. And then our last few cards. These two I never really played, I don't think. I just never ended up drawing them, unfortunately. Though they both kind of have similar +1/+1 counter distribution abilities. I think they seem alright, though I'm not wild about Jet being just a 3/1 for 5 mana. Obviously, in a go wide token strategy, the hope is that he can take down a creature when he enters. But it's really gonna depend on the situation. So, I could see this one going a bit sideways. Mongoose Lizard I really liked. I like that it had mountain cycling, or if you wait you get a big menace creature. At times it did feel bad mountain cycling it, knowing that this was the biggest creature in my deck and I didn't want to be losing out on that. And I don't have a way to get anything back from the graveyard. And then lastly, our dual land. This was perfectly fine. And I liked that you could cash it in for a card later. Alright, so if I sound a bit different now, I apologize. Talk about airbending. It was wicked windy outside. Not only was the wind itself making a lot of noise, but my house started making noise, so thought I would call it and resume recording later. It is still a bit windy out there, but not quite as bad as it was. But anyway, we're about to take a look through everything else that I opened. So let's do that. I think I'll start with some cards that I was trying to get into my main deck, but wasn't successful in doing so. These two I was really trying to get into my deck. I think they both look good and work really well with each other. And then this one was very much a stretch goal, but I was really hopeful that I would be able to squeeze it in. I was really struggling to identify what I could reasonably cut to make room for these. But I really think I would like to explore these more as we try to rebuild the pool. My first round opponent had this and was able to get it out on turn 2. So I really got to witness what a fantastic card it is. And even better in his context, I think, because he had a lot of water bending. So all of those clue tokens stacking up were able to contribute to waterbending costs, while he just let them accumulate and waited to cash them in for the lifelink ability. And this one I think is just really cool. And yeah, I just want to see what it's capable of. But let's move on and take a look at the rest of the multicolored cards. I had also thought about running abandoned attachments, but ended up cutting that one. I think the Foggy Swamp Spirit Keeper looks interesting. I'm not sure how many spirits there are out there, but seems like there's a decent chance those tokens could be unblockable. But yeah, I think anything in the bottom and the professor look really good. Oh yeah, before we keep going through the colors though, let's actually look at the rares. And I'll grab the ones I played. I wasn't too into the idea of elemental teachings. 5 mana to get 4 land, and put 2 of them onto the battlefield didn't really thrill me. Unless there was going to be a really strong landfall theme. We talked about Zhao already. I think he's pretty bad. And was kind of just curve filler where I was playing him. I really liked both of the black rares. In blue, we've got some water bending, some things that care about non-creature spells. The Mechanist, I think, would also go really well with Obsessive Pursuit. We would just have a stream of clue tokens that the Mechanist could turn into constructs for us. So maybe blue-black could be promising. And then white we talked about. Just the 2 ally creatures here. Next, we've probably talked about green the least so far, so let's take a look at that. Alright, so here is all of our green. I wish I could have been able to play Flopsy, especially in the ally token deck. And I know green does have some ally synergies as well, but I just ended up pairing my white with red instead. But we can take a look at the red next. And we'll throw in the cards that I played as well. So, yeah, I did really enjoy the red cards that I played, and I would have been happy playing some of these other ones as well. I think Fire Nation Raider seems good, as long as you'll know you'll be attacking. Porcupine I was very close to running, but ended up cutting it. But I think that's a perfectly fine creature. Price of Freedom seems like a sideboard card to me, but I appreciate that it draws a card. Cunning Maneuver I could kind of take or leave. The clue token kind of inches it up for me, but still not totally sold on it. And then Fire Nation Cadets I think is a good early creature. And it's got the threat of bad fire breathing, so could trade up if you needed to. Next, let's look at black. So black was by far my deepest color because I had the seeded pack. And there is a lot going on here. There's a pretty clear clue token theme, like sacrificing a clue to deadly precision would likely be way more preferable than sacrificing a creature. We've got a couple recurring threats, whether they're coming back from the graveyard or just making infinite copies. Swamp Snare Trap, I think, deals with a lot of creatures, or at the very least will significantly reduce their power. I think Pirate Peddlers are pretty good and can probably get quite big. Goes really well with the Obsessive Pursuit that not only makes clues but also puts other +1/+1 counters on things when you sacrifice them. Ruinous Waterbending, again, probably deals with a lot of creatures, and hopefully, especially with the counters and things, we could get our creatures out of reach from this. Fire Nation Engineer, we can get even more +1/+1 counters as long as we're able to continue attacking. I honestly don't really know why I didn't play black. I know I didn't realize how deep the clue synergies were. Like, I was seeing things that ask you to sacrifice creatures or artifacts, but didn't realize that there were going to be plentiful artifacts for us to work with. I know similarly I kind of wrote off waterbending, not knowing that there would be so much access to clues or food, things that might kind of sit around for a while and don't really detract if you tap them. Here's another way to create a clue token, and another card that rewards you for cashing in your clues. And then Azula has firebending and creates a clue, so you could probably cash that in right away. And then big death touch creature. I think I would feel a lot better swamp cycling one of these away, knowing that I had another one in my deck, so I didn't feel like I was throwing away my largest creature too early. So, yeah. I think it was certainly a mistake to not play black. So let's see what we can do with this after looking at the remaining colors. So here is our blue. Honest Work, I think, is a fine removal spell. And Watery Grasp is fine for locking something down. Another way to create a clue. Flying Vigilance Prowess creature. Don't mind that. This one, I'm not super high on, but The vigilance and high toughness, I think, makes it a very good defensive creature. And then if the coast is clear, you can get in and swing for 5. So, not awful. Our large creature that we can make unblockable if needed, or island cycling away. And this one I don't know. Probably depends on what's out there. Next, we've already seen all of my white because I played it all, but there are a few colorless cards we can look at. So just a couple equipment here, and a really good distribution of 2 color lands. So I'm going to go ahead and lay out blue-black and see what that looks like. And then maybe splash white for the Tolls of War enchantment. Alright, so that is 30, which means we have 7 cuts to make. Let's get rid of the white. I like that this one has menace and creates a clue token when it dies, but we've probably got enough ways to create clue tokens that we don't really need it. Maybe abandoned attachments can go. I think we'll have more than enough card draw without it. We've got 3 land cyclers. So I'm actually wondering if maybe we could go down to 16 land. We do have a lot of card draw, which helps us find lands faster. I know we need lands to cast our things that draw cards in the first place, but I feel like it's not obscene to go down to 16. But given that we've got 3 more cuts, I don't really think we need this. It is good to sacrifice fodder, or in late game if you're totally out of resources. It's at least something to cast, but don't really think we need that. I like that. And I pretty much think I like all of these. Maybe we just get rid of these and decide them in as needed. Alright, so that is 24. And 15 creatures. So, yeah. Maybe this is a way that this pool could have been built instead of the red-white ally theme that I went for before. But now that you've seen everything, let me know what you think. And of course, I want to know how your pre-release went. Which pre-release kit did you get, and what kind of deck did you build? I would love to know. But before we close out, let's open up the prize packs. So for my 111 record, I earned 3 prize packs. Let's see what we got. And I'll just go through these quickly here. Oh, that's a spoiler. Hang at the crossroads. So you can get a free creature and then flip him over. Alright, that seems pretty good. Looks cool at least. Next pack. Fire Lord Zuko. So now he's in Mardu. That's pretty cool. Whoa, that's spooky. And our final pack. And South Pole Voyager would have gone well in my ally deck. Whoa. And a mythic vehicle. That would have gone well in the second deck. Nice. There we have it. Thank you so much for joining me today for a look through my pre-release kit. Again, I would love to hear your thoughts on it. And of course, I want to hear how your pre-release went, if you went out and played in one. And if not, are there any cards in the set that you are particularly excited to try building around? Let's hear it. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, it would really help me out if you would hit that like button, and please consider subscribing if you haven't already. I put out new Magic the Gathering ASMR videos every Monday and Friday. I truly appreciate all of your support, and I hope you have a wonderful day.